Hi there. Thank you for joining this Tech-versation about Google Sheets. Unfortunately, yesterday, despite recording my Zoom meeting, the Zoom recording did not process properly and was lost. So I'm going to recreate some of the steps that we went through as we played with Google Sheets and how to use Google Sheets to both design instruction and engage students. As you see here, I'm in my Google Drive, and I see in the top right corner that I'm logged into my district or my work account. I'm using my Google Chrome browser because, as I've said week after week, Google loves Google. So if I'm using Google Sheets, I recommend using Google Chrome as your browser. From here, I can go to New and a new Google Sheet. We created one yesterday, so I'm going to share that one with you all. So this is the sample sheet that we shared yesterday, and I'm going to include the link to this sheet in the comments section below, so you can always pop in here and play around. So a couple things that I wanted to point out here is if I go to File, once again, we have version history. I always recommend, if you're nervous about breaking Google or messing something up, I highly recommend naming your versions. And what that does is you can say, I want to make sure that I keep it just the way it is right now, so that if I try something and it doesn't work, I can always come back, go to my version history, and just go to that named version. It's a really easy way to make sure that you don't get lost with what you're doing. Oh, oopsie daisy. Didn't mean to click that. There's not really much to show in the edit menu, nor in the view menu. I did point out that I can freeze rows and columns. And notice I can freeze all the way up to any row and any column just by selecting a cell in that row or column. This is especially helpful if you have a huge list going along down the side, the left-hand side of your sheet, so that as students are scrolling, they can still see what's in that first row. And same with the columns. I've frozen, you can tell by the dark gray lines, I've frozen the top two rows so that when I scroll, you can still see my prompts at the top of the screen. Now I can insert not as many options as in slides or docs, but I still have a couple of options of things that I can insert. There is a new feature that I can insert an image directly into a cell, which we played with during our session, and you can see people did that right here by inserting their image directly into the cell. Previously, the image would just float on top of the sheet and wouldn't really attach itself to a specific place. So that's a great new feature. Okay, you can also insert a link from here. I did play around with the themes. This is also a new feature, as you can see. Just like in Google Slides, it'll now change the theme of my document, so I can turn it to this teal color. Let's see if that does anything. Didn't really do anything this time. But another really helpful tool is clicking alternating colors. And as you can see, I chose purple, alternating colors. You can select specific areas to alternate, or you can just select the entire sheet. So right now it says apply to range B16. If I wanted to apply it to the whole sheet, I could do that as well. If I select the little box right up here in the very top left corner, it selects the entire sheet. And it's telling me it already has alternating colors, so it can't do that twice. As you can see, though, the alternating colors make it really easy to see what is where. So it's just another way to make things visually interesting or visually easy to use. The easier things are to see, the more likely your students are to engage with your technology well. Okay, so I had everyone kind of jump in and play around with this here. I did also include a checklist here. And this checklist is really helpful. You can see right here it says checkbox. So we used the checkbox feature as like an attendance. You could also have them check off when they've completed an assignment, although you're probably using Google Classroom for that. So try to think of other ways that you would be able to utilize that checkbox feature. They just come in, they check the box, they can uncheck the box. It's pretty basic. Really great new feature. And of course, we can always insert comments just like in any of the other Google products. So thinking about how students can engage with each other in the comments thread is also really useful. So in column C, you'll notice that down the right-hand side of each cell, there's a little triangle or caret. And I asked folks to go ahead and reflect on how they felt about our Zoom call together, our Tech-versation. And so they were able to pick from the drop-down list and select how they felt about our Tech-versation. And as you can see here, people just felt like it was a really fantastic time together. So, which is surprising because they had lots of options to choose from. I'm teasing. Oh, look at that. I can see that somebody just joined in our sheet right here. So that's fun. Now, people did also play with form, and somebody created a form. So now that the form is created, it now says edit form. Previously, it said create form. So I could now go to edit form and create a form directly from this sheet. So it'll take the data from the sheet and it will kind of auto create items based on what it thinks I'm looking for according to this sheet. So I can go straight to the form from here. I can even send the form directly from here. Of course, if you're sending it in Google Classroom, you would probably go to Google Classroom and find it in your Google Drive from that way. Okay. Once you've embedded a form or created a form, it'll create a box, a new sheet at the bottom of the page. So this document, I'm going to move my picture over here. This worksheet has 3 sheets attached. It originally only had 1. And then we added a second sheet just for fun. And then when the form was created, a new sheet was added that says Form Responses 1. As you can imagine, if there was another form attached to this sheet, it would be called Form Responses 2. And it has a little lock next to it. That's because somebody went to protect sheet and they protected this sheet. You can protect an entire sheet or just certain cells. That's really useful if you create either a line of instruction, or if you are having students engage with something and you don't want them to edit certain cells, you can protect it so that students cannot edit that range. And then let's see. I want to make sure I am sharing everything here with you. Play with add-ons. There are some really great add-ons. I just heard about one called Slip and Slide. Oh, that's for slides though. But it's not available for your district account. So if you ever do find add-ons that would be really helpful, like Rainbow Unicorn, whatever it was called, that are not accessible, feel free to let myself know, or the Facebook group for SCTA if you are a Sac City member, and we'll see what we can do about getting it whitelisted. So there was a question about how to use this as a hyperdoc. You would simply enter in some words, and then you can either click Insert Link in the menu bar here. You can go to Insert Edit Link right here. It would say Insert Link. Or you can click Control or Command K on your keyboard and insert the link of where you want people to go. And then I always tell children, click the blue and then click the blue, and that will take them to whatever link you share with them. And so I'll just share, this is a copy of a hyperdoc that we used for digital citizenship with students during an institute we did a few years ago. So we had students watch a quick Classroom Dojo video about digital citizenship, and then they came in here and they typed their name and 2 ways that they could be a responsible citizen. And we didn't tell them where to type their name. We just taught them that they need to pick a row that's not already taken by another student, and they were able to figure that out very quickly and easily. In the next sheet down here at the bottom, you see it's color coded. We inserted a link any day now. We inserted a link to some base 10 blocks. I will also link to those in the comments below. Those are some Pearson manipulatives, but as you know, there's so many digital manipulatives out there, so pick the ones that work for you. Just because we're using distance learning doesn't mean students shouldn't be using manipulatives. It's still very important to connect those representations for our students. And then we have a little closing reflection in the last sheet. As always, I highly recommend that you utilize color coding to make things really clear and easy to read for students, making it really big so that students can see it really easily, and using an easy to read font are ways to increase engagement for students to make it clearly understandable what they're supposed to do. And lastly, I will share this last blog post. I will include this in the links below as well. If it'll catch up with me, come on then. Sorry for those of you waiting. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that you can see this new blog post. I'm going to begin talking about it, and I think it'll catch up with me. So this is a quick blog post about different ways to use Google Sheets in the classroom. There are tons of sample sheets that you can go check out and play with. Information about conditional formatting and data validation. That's what I needed to show you. I will show you data validation before I end. And tons of games and whatnot, charts and graphs, how you can use all of that from kindergarten on up. So please don't think that your children are too young for Google Sheets. So I'm going to go back. Last thing really quickly is how I created the drop-down list. I forgot to share that with you. So I'm just going to show you really quick how to do data validation, and that's how you create the drop-down list so that you can have students select from a list of items. There we go. So I'm going to select an entire column because I want it to be, for all the different rows, I want it to be selectable. I'm going to go to data and data validation. And it's going to give me a pop-up box. I'm going to select criteria from a list of items. And here I'm going to enter items separated by a comma. So I could enter blue, purple, if I could type red, green, yellow. I want to show the drop-down list in the cell, and I really don't need to mess with anything else except making that I've clicked list of items and that I've entered my list of items and then save. Easy peasy, pudding and pie. There I have my little drop-down menu. I can click on it, and right then and there I see my choices. And so students, they will still be able to type something different, like let's say they said orange. They will still be able to type. You can designate if it makes the little red invalid. You can decide if it's going to give an error if they enter a different value than what's provided. So that's a choice that you can make. All right, Thank you for joining this Tech-versation, and I apologize that you weren't able to see the full conversation. If you have any requests or would like me to redo a Sheets session, I'm happy to do so. Just contact me at matthewmama@gmail.com and check out matthewmama.eventbrite.com to see what other sessions I have coming up soon. Thank you all so much for joining. Bye-bye.